Welcome to another Mayor's Hour. It's the first one of the year, Jack, 2015.
This is a very special Mayor's Hour, I might add.
It is indeed.
It becomes the Mayor's Apostrophe Hour instead of the Mayor Apostrophe S Hour.
We're going to have a great guest, a good friend of mine, somebody that I want all of you to get to know on our side of the bay. I've known him for 25 years, and I couldn't have been happier when he got elected as mayor of St. Petersburg. So we're going to have Rick Kriseman, who's coming into the end of his first year, I think, on the show right after this. So it ought to be good.
Oh, yeah, and that's what's been so great that's been happening recently is with you working with Mayor Rick Kriseman, because this is one big area. I mean, separately, we're the 53rd largest city and the 72nd largest city. Together, we're the 19th largest metro, the 12th largest, along with other Plant City and Temple Terrace and everything else. But you put it all together, the 12th largest media market in the country. And we are just hitting on all cylinders with all the great things happening here, and things are getting even better. I mean, we've just begun to fight.
You know, and there's no drama. I mean, you know, we'll deal with the Rays when that situation presents itself. But other than that, I mean, Mayor Kriseman and I are in lockstep on everything we do, whether it's transportation, you know, whether it's international trade, whether it's linking the Bay Area together. I mean, we are absolutely focused and committed to getting it done. So it's going to be this has never happened before.
Oh, it certainly hasn't. I've been here since 1970, and the things that have happened that you guys have brought about, because the Bay is our biggest asset. I mean, the fact that we've got the Bay and the river and the Gulf of Mexico and all of these things makes the Bay Area a really special place. But the Bay also can be our biggest detriment when we don't work together
if
like
it's a barrier.
this. Yeah, and you guys have broken down that barrier, and that is critical.
Well, stay with us. You're going to love Mayor Kriseman, and we will be right back. We're here at the best airport in the world.
Yes.
Tampa International Airport. So not only is Mayor Kriseman coming, but we're going to talk to Rick Homans, the head of the Economic Development Corporation, and the Italian stallion, Joe Lopano, who runs the best airport in the entire world. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's good to be the mayor. He wants you right over there. On the ground. On the ground.
Come on now. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Wow. Jackets will fully inflate and you're ready to enter the water.
All right, Jack, I told you we'd have a special guest here. He had to get a visa to come over here on this side of the
A green card.
Green card, yeah.
To work
There
the
was
show.
no self-deporting. We're big believers in immigration reform, and so we allowed my buddy of many, many years, and it's been a year now you've been a mayor?
Yes.
Coming up on his first year. Well, you wait till you see. You're going to be as gray as me in about 3 years. He came all the way over here from the city of St. Petersburg to join us today on the Mayor's Hour. My friend, the great mayor of the city of St. Petersburg, Mayor Rick Kriseman.
Well, thanks, Bob. It's always great to be over here in Tampa and at this beautiful airport.
Yeah.
Which is certainly the best in the country.
It absolutely is.
Well, this is a thrill to work with the two most popular mayors in America, perhaps. And,
that's only if you combine our favorability ratings. No, I think we're in pretty good shape, the two of us, in spite of our upbringing and in spite of ourselves and in spite of our complete lack of talent.
But we have talked about what a breakthrough time this is for the Tampa Bay area, for our market, for Tampa Bay, the 19th largest metro in the United States. The fact that you guys are working so hard together, and it's just not happened before, and it should have happened a long time ago.
It's about time.
Yes,
It really
it
is about
is.
time.
It sincerely is. There's always been that competition. I mean, it goes all the way back to when I came here 45 years ago, the Green Bench place and whatever we were back then, the Minaret
USF,
City.
the Bucks. I mean, all the things that should have united us ended up dividing us, which was so short-sighted and caused 30 years worth of an inability to work together.
But the fact that you guys have come together and worked together, and it's a great thing that you all were friends prior to this too. That's helped considerably. The future is unlimited for us as a Bay Area, for success as a Bay Area.
Well, when he does well, I'm going to take credit for it. When he screws up, he's on his own.
That's the way
Completely
it's
on his
supposed
own.
to work. That's the way it's supposed
Well, and
to
you know,
work.
in St. Pete, we like to talk about how the sun is always shining on us. So on those cloudy days, it's
My fault.
Mayor Buckhorn's fault.
Well, remember in
It's
the
all
old,
blowing from our side, right?
Yeah, that is, they do come that way. In the old days, they used to, and this was for years after I got here, the old Evening Independent.
That's right.
They gave away the newspapers when the sun didn't shine, and it only would happen, I think it only happened 1 or 2 times that
Very
they had to
rarely
do
did
it.
that occur.
And I don't know if weather has changed remarkably since then, because it seems like we've had a couple of days when the sun didn't appear, but what's happened just almost recently, it seems, in downtown St. Petersburg, the downtown and the growth that's being experienced there, and the apartments and condos and all of the things that are happening. I'm a big fan of Beach Drive. I'd love to go to Beach Drive. The eateries along there, the whole thing. But it's gone from being the green bench city to a young people's paradise down there.
It's remarkable the number of young people that have moved into our community, and you know, to me, what's really exciting is, as vibrant as Beach Drive and the core of downtown is, it's expanding west now, which
Yes.
is really what we've been wanting to see happen, and that's what we've been encouraging. And quite frankly, that's where our focus is, you know, when your downtown is really thriving, it gives you the opportunity and the ability to really start looking at your other areas of your city, and it quite frankly provides you with more resources to do that.
And is that Central Avenue corridor?
That is the Central
Oh,
Avenue
that's
corridor,
really cool.
and it's interesting because you had the core of downtown that was developing, and then you had an area out a little bit further west, Grand Central, which really was supported by the neighborhoods around it with historic Kenwood, and now that center between those two areas is filling in with the Edge District, and it's really exciting.
It is, and I guess the best indicator of what's happening along that area are restaurants. When a restaurant pops up, it means there's enough happening around it to sustain a restaurant, and that's what I love going along Central Avenue. That difference in just a couple of years is remarkable. The fact that these restaurants are popping up and there's so much activity along there. And in the old days, you went from the downtown core out to Ferg's, and that was pretty much it, and then all the way to the beaches.
On 4th Street.
That's
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
And then you were heading over to Howard Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we all did. And you know, I feel like every week I drive down the street, I see a new restaurant that's open.
So you've had a busy year. I mean, you've made a lot of changes, both internally and externally. People are responding positively. You're moving the ball on some issues that had been stymied and stagnant for a long time. You've got some big stuff on your plate. So sort of tell the folks in Tampa who only read about it what's going on in Pinellas County and St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and we do, and you know, and that's as you know, that's what's exciting about this job. And Mayor Buckhorn, he wouldn't say this necessarily publicly, but he and I talked a lot before I even decided to run. And you know, one of the things he said is it's the greatest job that you can have because you can get things done. There isn't the partisan politics. There's not the influence of money on the process. It's just all about making your community better, and that's why he's been so successful, because that's really been his focus, and that's what I've been trying to do. So, you know, we did inherit some big issues, and the pier was stuck.
Oh, yeah.
The public had weighed in and had rejected what had previously happened, and so my focus has really been on re-engaging the public on that process and creating a process that really moved the ball forward and focused in on what does the citizens of this community, what do St. Petersburg residents want to see out there? What do they want it to do? More importantly than what it looks like even.
Yeah.
We needed to be clear on that, and then we can talk about what it looks like. So we're now at that stage where we've got 8 architectural firms who've given us great designs. I think the designs, quite frankly, are much better than what we had the first go-round.
Oh, I know, and I love the fact that 6 of them involve the old inverted pier thing, a reminder of that, because that's such an iconic thing for our downtown.
And interestingly, and I'll admit this, I didn't favor utilizing the existing pier, but I'm excited about some of the designs that do. I think they were really creative. So our public's going to get a chance to weigh in and choose their 3 favorite designs, and from that we'll move forward and make our final selection. So that process is going to happen. We're going to get a pier built, and by the end of 2017, 2018, we'll be cutting the ribbon on that thing.
Now, one of your most important choices, and you and I talked about this, and you just knocked this one out of the park, was the choice of a new police chief.
Yeah.
Which potentially for any mayor is the most significant personnel.
That's so
decision.
true, and people don't realize that. Yeah, that is true.
You had
especially today, I might add, too, in today's environment.
Yeah, it is critically important. So you picked the best candidate that you could possibly have found. Tell us a little bit about that process and how you arrived at that decision.
Well, and the interesting thing about hiring any of your employees is when you become the mayor, and especially as you're a new mayor, a lot of times you want to bring in your own team. So you may make a lot of different changes, and that's the prerogative of the mayor to do that. What I decided I wanted to do was to try and get a lot of feedback to educate myself on what the community was looking for and what the department was looking for. So I met with members of the community. We brought them in. We talked to them about what they'd like to see in a police chief. We met with police officers. I had probably 40 different officers come to my office and tell me what they want to see in their next chief. And I took all that information really and that helped guide me in my search for a chief. We went out, we created a process again that sought outside candidates from around the country, narrowed that list down, did something a little different in that, you can only tell so much from a resume on a piece of paper. So we asked some of our 10 semi-finalists, I'll say, to give me a 3-minute video that tells me a little bit more about themselves so I could try and get a little better flavor of who they were other than just looking at a piece of paper. And from that, we narrowed it down to 4. And as all of us know, what looks good on paper, sometimes when you sit face to face with somebody, you find out they're not quite what you were looking for. And quite frankly, that's what happened. They're all good at what they do, but were they the right fit for my community? And ultimately, I decided they weren't, and made the decision I had to go outside that list of finalists. And quite frankly, I agree. I don't think I could have done any better. This guy is a rock star. Within a week, the morale of the department changed.
Yeah.
And I think, and I was with the city on council back in early 2000. I can't remember a time where the mayor of St. Petersburg hasn't had to worry about his police department.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And I don't have to worry about them. I have total confidence.
It has been a major problem, and you're very fortunate in inheriting a great police chief in Jane Castor. And
she's fantastic.
Yep. You got to find another one.
I will be in his shoes in the not too distant future. He is far more democratic, little d, than I am. The next time he gets a choice like this, he's going to go, that's who I want. That's the end of the discussion.
After he spends a little more time in the office.
Yeah, after he's been in the soup for another couple of years.
What he wants to do there. But it seems to be the objective of both cities, and I think that perhaps St. Pete got the jump on Tampa on it, and to a certain extent, in trying to bring young people down and critical mass into downtown to make downtown a thriving, growing kind of place. And but what makes these times so exciting, we both have patron saints, so to speak, with Bill Edwards in St. Petersburg, and of course Jeff Vinnick in Tampa, and with the things that they do, particularly what Jeff Vinnick is doing, and that's going to do big things for the entire Bay Area. I mean, that's going to lead an explosion for what's happening all over the Tampa Bay area.
But you know something, Jack? In that case, private capital in the forms of Edwards and Vinnick would never be willing to invest in a city unless they didn't think that there was going to be a positive return.
Yeah, they can see the future.
Yeah, if the table hadn't been set for them to be successful, which is what government and mayors should do. It's not our job to create jobs. It's not our job to guarantee outcomes. It's our job to sort of set a platform, eliminate the barriers, and then let the private sector come in. And the newly revised sundial that
Oh, yeah.
Edwards just did is really going to be a beautiful addition to an already exciting, activated downtown.
And and Mayor Buckhorn's right. It's our job to create that environment that businesses want to be there because from a tax structure standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint, that their employees want to be in your community, and I think that's something that we both are really excelling at right now, is creating that environment. I know that when I was on the day of my inauguration, one of the things I said is the city has historically rolled out the red carpet for big business and the red tape for small business.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
That's a great line. I may steal that at some point.
And it's something we need to eliminate. And so one of the things I've done is we've gone on what we call our small business tour. And I'll show up at businesses all around the city and really just ask them, what can we do for you, and what are we doing to you to make it hard for you to be successful? Because if I don't know about it, I can't fix it. And we visited more than 85 businesses, and City Council just recently approved an ordinance change that was a direct result of one of those business visits, where we had a business that was required to install a grease trap and wasn't producing any grease.
Oh, that sounds like government at work at its best.
Let's talk about, and this is a topic that's been widely discussed for years, and you finally were the mayor that started the ball, literally and figuratively, moving in the right direction. And it's the discussion of the raise. I mean, you had an agreement crafted with the raise that would allow them the flexibility to look elsewhere. There were some, you protected the interest of the taxpayers in the city of St. Petersburg, which is what your job is.
Absolutely.
But yet you helped, hopefully, to resolve an issue of regional interest. So tell us where that is, tell us what your position is, how you arrived at that deal, and whatever we can do to help on this side.
Yeah, well, one of the first things I had to do was really reestablish the relationship between the team and the city.
Yeah.
It had really broken down, and there was a lack of trust. And as any businessman knows, if you don't trust the person sitting on the other side of the table from you, you can't have meaningful discussions. So that was one of the first things we did, is we reestablished that trust. From that point, it was going on and trying to determine, how do we structure something that I was comfortable would protect my taxpayers and not put the agreement we currently have with them at risk and any potential damage claim that we might have at risk, but also give certainty to our taxpayers if the team were to find somebody. But most equally important, I should say, was restricting any look to this region, because we recognize the importance of this team to this region, whether they're in St. Pete, somewhere else in Pinellas County, or in Tampa, or somewhere else in Hillsborough County. This is a regional asset, and we all benefit from this team being here in this region. So we spent a lot of time on structuring that deal, and ultimately decided on a memorandum of understanding that kind of clarified some of the terms of the original agreement. Didn't change them, just clarified them to such an extent that they were then allowed to evaluate potential locations in the Hillsborough and Pinellas County areas. What ended up happening when we went to council is an issue regarding development rights was raised. It was not something we could address in the memorandum of understanding, because it would have amended the underlying agreement. But it is something that we can have discussions about. It can be in the termination agreement if they do find a location outside St. Petersburg. And where we currently stand is I'm working with my legal staff, and then I'll be reaching back out to the Rays to look at how we structure, including something that discusses development rights without amending our underlying agreement, and I think we can get there.
Yeah, I think you can too.
Yeah, we're in an unusual situation, unlike any in America here, because when you go to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles or the Baltimore Ravens or whoever, the whole market supports them financially. I mean, in other words, if you're going to build a stadium, everybody pays for it. Here, we've got the bifurcated market where if you've got a stadium over here, the people over there are going to pay for it. If you move it over here, the people over here are going to pay for it. And it makes it really tough to work in that kind of environment. That's one of the disadvantages of our bifurcated market, as opposed to one of our advantages.
Well, and I say this not from a Tampa versus St. Pete standpoint, but I've tried to look at what their options are, and certainly the number of options they've had, it's changed over time with some of the things that Mr. Vinnick has done. And when I look at it, I still feel very strongly that they may ultimately decide the best place for them is right on the 85 acres they're currently sitting. But from their perspective, they're not going to know that until they have that chance to really conduct that full investigation. And it's not reasonable to say to them, you can only look in St. Pete or Pinellas, because all they can determine then is if it's a good situation, but is it the best? And if you're a business, you're not going to settle for good. You want the best.
You want the best.
And I think, Jack, what you're hearing from both of us is, if that process is allowed to move forward, and if they're allowed to look, and if they make the ultimate determination that the best location is at the current configuration, I mean, that will take that obstacle completely off the table, and then all of us will rally around the fact that they have made this decision, that this is in their best interest. While those on the Tampa side may prefer it to be here, the fact that they were allowed to look and arrived at that decision in Pinellas County is that is what it is.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out how we support them.
Absolutely.
Because the drama's done.
Right, just to get people across the bay, whichever way it is.
And that's one of the benefits, I believe, of this relationship that Mayor Buckhorn and I have, and the fact that this body of water that has separated us for so long that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's all about working together for the benefit of both of our communities, and I think that's going to have a difference too, whether the team's in St. Pete or in Tampa, in the support the team gets.
And that brings up another issue when you talk about that body of water. That might become advantageous from a transportation standpoint. We go to Eddie Taranchik and something he's talked about doing. I would love to see some kind of nice boat going from our downtown Tampa to our downtown St. Petersburg, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I'd be a user. The talk about doing it first from Apollo Beach on over to MacDill Air Force Base is fine, but I think beyond that, I think it could become a real piece of transportation. But our transportation issues are pretty big, because we're the last in America in major markets not to have any move forward on light rail, and even Orlando now has the Sunrail thing over there, or whatever they call it, and somehow we've got to start moving forward in that direction, in spite of the fact that the elections have gone the wrong way in that case.
Yeah, Rick, we've got about 3 minutes left. Obviously, he was very, very active on behalf of Greenlight Pinellas.
Yeah.
It failed. I mean, none of us expected the outcome that it was, or the severity of the loss. But it doesn't negate the need to connect Pinellas County to Hillsborough County, downtown St. Pete to this airport to downtown Tampa. So what do you think the next steps are? I mean, we've got a referendum potentially in 2016 here.
Yeah.
I've seen the poll numbers. If the election were held today, the outcome here would be no different than what the outcome in Pinellas was. So we've got to figure out how to thread that needle. So, I mean, where do you think we go?
Well, and one of the things I think that, an option that we're exploring is, and it's a situation that a lot of big cities like St. Pete and Tampa have experienced, where the cities themselves support the referendum, but it's the rural areas outside in the county that don't. For the cities to obtain the authority to impose the tax to build it.
Within the city limits.
Within city limits.
But now you have to get that through
the legislature.
Right?
And now obviously that's a challenge, but it certainly is a direction that we can attempt to go and probably should explore. And I think, again, it goes to the two communities working together and talking about how this is a regional effort, and we're connecting these two large cities together, and the benefit economically that would bring it's a powerful message. The high-speed ferry is something I think that's an easier reach right now for us, and it certainly is something we should pursue. Both of our communities having water borders, to not do that when you see Baltimore and Boston and Seattle and New York, and you could go on and on. But we have to be smarter when we're trying to do it and how we're doing these campaigns, because I think we really, our timing wasn't good doing it in an off-year election cycle. The campaign could be run differently. The messaging could have been different. It needs to be different.
And really, we've got to get the help of the legislature to let us do it in our downtowns where people are in favor of it overwhelmingly.
That's what all these young talent, young millennials that we're trying to attract, that's what they want. They don't want to live in the burbs. They want to live in a high-rise. They want to rent. They don't want to have a car. They need mass transportation. They want to be able to walk to work and to walk to the bars and the restaurants. We're going to solve all that in the next segment. So stay with us, Mayor Kriseman and I, and the one and only Jack Harris. We'll be right back with another great segment, so stay with us.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Welcome back to another segment of the Mayor's Hour. In this case, it's truly the Mayor's Plural Hour. Jack, we just spent a good bit of time with my dear friend and a great mayor for the city of St. Petersburg, Mayor Rick Kriseman. You know, it's great when the mayors of two areas can work together, are friends, and are not going to let bridges be barriers. That, you know, Rick and I have great plans for this Bay Area, and we're looking forward to working together. But right now, Jack, we got somebody who's on the ground making it happen. You know, we've enjoyed tremendous job growth over the last 3 or 4 years. And one of the folks that is directly responsible in a very big way is our guest, Rick Homans, from the Tampa Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Rick,
great to be with you guys.
He's actually flying out as we tape this, so it's a perfect,
The best airport in the world.
best
right?
airport in the
It
world.
is that, undoubtedly. And we're here to make you miss your flight.
Good luck with that.
So tell us what the EDC does.
Well, our mission is to help create new jobs, new capital investment in Hillsborough County, and also to work with our regional partners to encourage that as well. So we bring new companies into the marketplace, we help existing companies expand, and we work with our partners at the city and Hillsborough County and around Tampa Bay to develop new economic development strategies for the area too that are going to pay off in years to come.
How does it fund it?
Well, we get about 60% of our money comes from private investors. So private companies, we've got about 100 of them, that executive committee level, the board of directors level, partner level. We have a contract with the city of Tampa for $500,000 a year, $538,000 a year. Every penny counts there, and with the county for $700,000 a year. So we appreciate and count on their support from the public sector, but the most important part of this is to build the private sector support for economic development, and that's one of our strategies.
Jack, it was interesting. Rick was not here yet, but when I became mayor, and I know Mayor Kriseman is looking at doing something similar, I doubled the city's contribution to the EDC and asked the county to double theirs because I knew we couldn't compete unarmed.
Yeah.
And so
That's a good way to put it, unarmed,
Yeah.
when you don't have something like that.
And since you did that, the private contributions, I think back then were around $300,000 a year. This year, we're estimating around 1.7 million. So we have 6 times since then grown the private support.
And I would think with both of these mayors, I'm wondering, are you all working hand in hand with people like Jeff Vinnick on the Hillsborough side and Bill Edwards and some of the other people who are instrumental in making things happen in our cities?
Well, absolutely. And I mean, our focus is in Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, on this side. From an international perspective, I know we'll talk about that, but all of us were recently down in Santiago, Chile on a cooperative mission between Pinellas County, Hillsborough, St. Pete, Tampa. But yeah, the growth of these two urban areas in St. Pete and Tampa is absolutely critical to our ability to market the area, whether we're bringing companies into Hillsborough County or Pinellas. We're one big city, and these two urban cores are so different from one another, and they help us to market the area.
Jack, I want Mayor Kriseman to weigh in here, because when we took that trip that was organized by Rick and by Mike Meidel on the Pinellas side, was the first time you had two mayors traveling together, marketing the region together. And you know, it's a powerful statement when the mayor of St. Pete and the mayor of Tampa show up together, singing off the same page, united. And it was the first trip that Mayor Kriseman had taken since he's become the mayor. But I think you're going to see us do more and more of this. And Rick, you may want to comment on that a little bit.
Yeah, the benefit in seeing the two of us together, you know, highlighting the assets of the region, and talking about cooperatively how we can promote the region. It isn't something that's happened before, and it's very powerful. I am absolutely committed to working with Mayor Buckhorn and continuing for us to do this and take these trips and talk about our region, because we are, as both of us have said, we are so much stronger when we're working together than when we're competing against each other.
Absolutely, and this is what is so great about what's happening now, and it's never happened before. The fact that you all are making it happen as a region, along with people like Rick, that you're talking about the 53rd largest city and the 72nd or something like that, together the 19th largest metro area and the 12th largest media market when you add the surrounding counties and everything. But we are overachievers with things like Bollywood and 4 Super Bowls, and we've had things like we just had the East-West Shrine game, and so many other great things that are happening in the Tampa Bay area.
Well, Jack, I'll tell you, when we're out recruiting a big company to this area, if they smell any division, competition, dysfunction between the counties, they turn tail and head the other direction. The fact that these two mayors are working so closely together, this unified front, it's absolutely critical to our ability to bring new companies into the market, because they come here, they want to know if they got a problem, the whole community is going to come together and help solve it, not fight with each other, and the company's going to lose. So this is absolutely essential, and we appreciate it.
You know, and the great thing is St. Petersburg and Pinellas, from an economic development component, has skill sets and has clusters that we don't have on our side, that are very complementary of each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about, just pick MacDill Air Force Base. The bulk of the defense contractors are on the Pinellas side. But yet MacDill is a Tampa base, and so the opportunity to work together to help those companies grow really is significant.
Absolutely.
What about, how does your work manifest itself? Give us an example of something concrete that you've done with the EDC, and it's either paid off or it might be paying off here, without sharing any secrets.
Well, no, I mean, we've had a number of big announcements in the last 12, 24 months that, and let me just say, first off, economic development's a team sport, so it's never the EDC by itself. It's us with the county, with the city, with the universities, the workforce groups together as one team. But Amazon coming to the South County part, USAA, 1,200 new jobs, and a whole new operations center going up east of downtown, $160 million going in there. Bristol Myers Squibb, their North America Capability Center, going to be at least 600 jobs. And we were talking with Lee Evans this week, who's running it, and they're having great success filling those jobs. And so we have high hopes for good things to come. But those are the kind of brand names and big projects, but at the same time, we work with a lot of small companies. We'll work with companies growing 5 jobs, 10 jobs, 20 jobs, and put just the same kind of effort into those. But those are the big ones that you likely would have heard about.
Oh yes, definitely. We've talked about on the radio, as a matter of fact. And how about, do you focus in any particular area? I know everybody talks about the medical field, STEM jobs, things like that. Do you all put any focus on any particular kind of industry or corporations or anything like that?
Well,
or
we have
businesses?
our target industries,
Yeah.
which would be financial and professional services, defense and security, life sciences among them. And we have international, we also have manufacturing and information technology. Some of those cross over between the counties, most of them do. Some areas, Pinellas is stronger. Marine sciences is one area where we're not so strong, but Pinellas is real strong. But we're a huge hub when it comes to, for example, financial services, professional services. And what's interesting in these is very high quality, high wage jobs have been coming into this market, and they serve the entire country and in many cases the globe. And these aren't back office, these aren't call center, these are skilled positions where they're paying $80, $90, $100,000 or more for these jobs, and they're finding the labor here in Tampa Bay, which is great news for us.
That's a big thing that these two guys have contributed to and done so much for, is making our downtowns vital places, exciting places. Now, I mean, I came here in 1970. The difference is overwhelming in both. But that young people want to be here and live here and work here because of all of that. That has to be an easy sell from that standpoint.
Well, it's absolutely critical, and I know the mayor has been such a champion of downtown. It's fantastic.
And it's working in both cases. I mean, I love, and I was over there 2 weekends ago at Locale, twice. In one weekend. Yeah,
that's like
twice in one
our
weekend.
local version of Italy, right?
Yeah, I was just like a pig in slop.
He's trying to recruit him across the bay so I didn't have to drive too far.
Well, I was doing some of that too, but to see, how downtown St. Pete has become so walkable and so pedestrian oriented, and Rick, I know you're really proud of that. But it's just a wonderful place to be, and adding Locale to that mix. I mean, I literally was there on Sunday and then took my wife Saturday and took my wife back on Sunday with the other daughter. So we ate there twice. And yeah, I did put a little plug in for when you guys get all ramped up, come on over to our side.
Well, and you've got the same thing going in your Riverwalk area with and Eulalie, which I'd love to have a location in St. Pete. It's an incredible.
Well, we can make a good swap.
There we go.
Real quick as we close out. You just commissioned a study not long ago that where you hired someone to look at the strengths and the weaknesses of the Bay Area. And what was amazing to me, because I was there when they did the original study, how drastically the perception of the Tampa Bay area and Tampa has changed by corporate users, internal corporations that are here, as well as external folks. Talk a little bit about that change and remind us of where we come up short, because it's an issue that he and I have worked on, and that is transportation. That we need to resolve at some point. We got about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so I mean, what we did was we interviewed CEOs of 350 different corporations, and 250 of them were outside the market with no connection, 50 of them were outside the market with operations here, and 50 of them had headquarter operations here in Hillsborough County. And the ones who are here are staying here. That's what came through loud and clear. And 12 years ago, when the study was done before, there was some real questions about, are we happy here? Would we want to look at other locations? What they are so proud of in the area is the political business climate that's so supportive from the business community, from the elected officials, and that happens to be the most important thing that they're looking for too when they're looking for a corporate headquarter location, is what's the business climate like? Is it going to be supportive and accepting of us? So they find that here. The one concern, as the mayor said, did pop up was transportation. And it gave us all sort of a red alert, is that this is the issue, whether they're here, whether they have operations here, or whether they have nothing to do with Tampa Bay. They know that we've got a transportation challenge, and they want to see that we're taking steps to fix it. And so I think none of these people are, expect us to solve the problem overnight. But what they want to see is they want to see a plan and a unified effort.
All right, we'll be right back with another segment. Thanks for joining us, Rick. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
This time next year, we want another 10,000 jobs.
And enjoy your flight.
Thank you very much. On time.
And don't stay away too long. There's no slackers allowed in this current regime, so
get back to work.
Get back to work. Not like the other guys get back to work. This is really get back to work. All right, we'll see you. Stay with us.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're gonna turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Find me one. What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, frogs, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Thanks for coming back. Jack, we have with us the world famous, the Jersey Giant, the Italian stallion of aviation.
Oh my God.
The guy who runs Tampa International Airport, another great member to the team over the last 4 years and has absolutely transformed not only the culture here, but the attitude, the mission. We are bigger, we are better, our brand is better, we are worldwide. The one and only.
Yep.
Joltin' Joe Lopano.
Boy, you came up with
I'm
more
on a roll. I
nicknames.
just
There you
like
go.
Woo, that was really good. I never got an introduction like that.
Well, I like
It
to
was
say
all the
the
Red
guy.
Bull I drank this morning, Joe.
I like to say the guy that took the best airport in America and made it so much better. And that's exactly what's happened. And that's only the beginning when you look at the future of this place with what we're expanding into, that the work has already begun on. And I want to bring up one of these surveys that was done, some travel group or whatever, they named us number 2 in the United States. Now, earlier we had been named number 1 in America, number 6 in the world a few years ago, but this one was number 2 to, I think it was Kansas City.
Yeah, no, Indianapolis, I think, was
or
number
Indianapolis,
one. And that's a
yeah.
5-year-old airport.
Yeah,
This
that's
is a
what I was going to say.
43-year-old
They
airport.
were built in 2008. This one in 1971 was number 2. And I've been to Kansas City, and that's nonsense.
This airport's aged gracefully. That's
So
for sure.
we've got a $1 billion expansion coming down the road.
That's right.
It may be right here behind me.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on.
Well, this is our gallery, and it really shows the history of aviation in Tampa Bay. It shows where we're going in phase 1, and then the final build-out, which is behind you two. That's phase 2 and phase 3. The first phase, which we're underway with, is a $943 million expansion, and it has a 2 million square foot consolidated rental car center, which will be on the south side of the airport. So from a convenience standpoint and a decongestion standpoint, we don't have those cars coming up to the terminal anymore. They drop their cars off down in the south, and they take a 1.4-mile train up to the main terminal. And I don't know if your viewers know it, but the first airport in the world to have a people mover system was Tampa International.
Yep.
And the guys way back then, and the reason we're ranked number 1 is because of the brilliance of those guys. They called Westinghouse and they said, we want you to build us a train with no driver that'll take people out to a remote airside. That design did not exist anywhere in the world. And now you hear Shanghai has it, Korea and everybody. We invented it here in Tampa. So we're sort of going back to the future. We're using the ideas of the guys in the past and using them again today.
And that's going to be the basically expanding what we were the first with, ironically. We can't seem to get light rail in our cities, but we've got it at our airport, and we were first in the country to have it. There's an irony there somehow.
We've transported, hundreds of millions of people on rubber wheel people movers.
Yeah,
You know,
it was a
transit.
Tampa firm. Carlos Alfonso and Albert
Yeah.
Alfonso's father was the architect for the original.
Oh, I didn't
Design,
realize
yeah.
that.
Yep,
Yeah.
and this was written about around the world. This was not only world-class design, but more innovative than anything else that was being done at that time.
And nobody has topped it since then. That's the amazing thing. You've had so many new airports going in all over the country, from Dallas, Fort Worth to, I mean, you name it. It's happened in all the major cities, and yet we are still number 1. Nobody's come close to topping us there.
That's right. That's correct.
What's interesting, and this kind of dovetails with what Mayor Kriseman and I talked about earlier, is the importance and the impact of this as a global economic engine. I mean, when we travel, Jack, be it to, Chile or Panama or Colombia or Germany, Joe Lopano and his staff are right there with us. Mm-hmm. When we were in Chile, it's all about expanding the Tampa brand, We've had great success since you've been here, Jolt and Joe, attracting international flights. Tell us a little bit about what's been done, the impact that it has on the whole Bay Area, because a lot of those folks are coming to go to Rick's beaches.
Yep, that's true, Mayor.
And what we can anticipate moving forward.
Good. Yeah, we've been very, very fortunate, and I was fortunate that my board backed a lot of the things that we wanted to do, including incentives and advertising and marketing, and they felt like it was important to take that risk because the reward is worth it. Every time we get a new wide-body international flight, we generate $150 million a year in economic impact and create 1,200 jobs. So it's critical for us to be out there and be aggressive. The approach that we've taken is a regional approach, and so we work very, very collaboratively with Visit St. Pete Clearwater, the Pinellas tourism folks, the Hillsborough tourism folks, the chambers on both sides of the bay. The mayor came with us. His first trip was to Panama. I think you were mayor for just a couple of months.
Yeah, 1 month.
1 month, and he went down to Panama. We didn't get a great reception, but we were persistent, and we kept on answering their questions. And finally, Copa came in from here to Panama. Now we have the ability to reach 7 cities in Brazil on that flight to Panama. You can connect in Panama to places like Recife, Porto Alegre, really small Brazilian cities with 1 stop. And on the way back, your baggage will be transferred in Panama, and you clear customs right here in Tampa, which is one of the most customer-friendly in the world. Very, very exciting new news. We'll have Lufthansa flying this year.
Gonna be great.
It's going to be fantastic. So their German hub in Frankfurt connects to 38 different countries. So you can go from Tampa to Frankfurt and connect to 38 different places. But more importantly, we can draw from all of Europe, Eastern and Western Europe, the Middle East, take people to Tampa and St. Pete and Clearwater to see the beaches. It's a game changer. And we know we have a lot of German tourists. We see them all over. We see them downtown Tampa. We see them downtown St. Pete. That's going to do nothing but grow.
Yeah,
Joe,
that's like the Atlantas. I was going to say Panama and Frankfurt. They're like the Atlantas, the hub here.
That's correct.
Let me make one suggestion. You used to have a very nice, soothing voice in those cars as people move back and forth. Now there's this voice, and for our international guests, they don't speak West Virginian. So they get very confused when they hear somebody, I'm not going to identify who he is, but he may be somewhere in the vicinity.
Jack, how's your German?
Oh, Achtung.
There you go.
So if you can do something about that, this will be a much better
airport.
When they bump me off to put you on there.
Yeah, that was want to scare them away before they get comfortable here.
That's right. That's right.
Well, now come on, please stand clear of the doors and all the handrails and all.
I have like nightmares. I'm in these airplanes so much. I have nightmares of you telling me to check my bags or pull my socks up or whatever it is that you say up there.
Well, I got a lot more listeners here than I have on the radio. That's for sure. But,
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it is. But you're also going beyond the new rental car hub and all of the other things that are going to be happening there. And I hope a service station, by the way, I think that would be a great addition out there, because for people who do rent cars, say in St. Petersburg, and all of a sudden they get on the bridge, and all of a sudden they get over here and they head and fill their gas tanks up before you go. I think that's
in the plans.
Planning that too.
The plan would be to build the consolidated rental car center and the people mover, but then after we do that, we'd like to develop a hotel, some office complexes, and right by the cell phone lot, we'd have a convenience store gas station. So if you're returning your rental car, you gas it up, or if you're coming out here to pick somebody up, you can get some gas in your car, get a cup of coffee, whatever you need. But and that's in planning. But the project's underway right now. We've already had 800 people on the job. They've done 100,000 hours of work. We're going to create 9,000 jobs. Of the $943 million first phase, we're going to spend $120 million with minority and women firms within the Tampa Bay area. So we're embracing the entire community. We're inclusive. This airport's always been great to the community, and it's the community's airport, and so why shouldn't the people benefit from it?
Joe, are you able to track how many people are coming to use the Pinellas beaches?
Yeah, we do surveys continually. In fact, 30% of our passenger base comes out of Pinellas County, and 30% from Hillsborough. Mm-hmm. We get about 9-10% from Sarasota County, Sarasota area. So, we're the gateway to the west coast of Florida, and we serve people who want to go to Sarasota or go from Sarasota to Europe are going to go on Lufthansa. People who want to go from St. Pete Clearwater to Europe, they're coming across the bridge. And we take that role seriously, that we're the gateway to the West Coast. But it also helps us to sell, because when we go out, we don't say we just fly to Tampa. We say, you're flying to the gateway to the West Coast. You're going to get Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Bradenton, Sarasota, and that's 5 million people within 1 hour's drive.
Yeah, that is. Beyond what you are doing, though, with that hub out there where rental car and everything will be and hooked up by the rail, you've got a lot of plans for what is a fantastic already third floor here, which is the main floor on the landside building. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited about it. We've already started demolition of the east side. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand this main terminal out to the east and out to the west by 50,000 square feet. That'll make room in here once we double our passengers. We'll have room for meters and greeters, and you know that gets congested around Christmas and the holidays.
Oh yeah.
Need to make that bigger. So the first phase is to build the east side, and the reason we have to do the east side first is because that's where the people mover station will be for the rental car center. So we first have to bump that out, and then Austin Commercial will come in and build the station. Once we finish the east side, we take all the work over to the west side, and we start the west side. It'll include outdoor dining, restaurants that look out on the people mover. You can watch airplanes take off, watch the sunset.
Oh, that'll be great.
And yeah, the Tampa Airport, I think, is one of the best places to watch sunset. So you can have a drink or have a dinner and watch it.
I know 4th of July, people congregate on the top floors of the garages to watch the fireworks all in the Bay Area. We used to do it from the top of the Marriott turning restaurant up there. But
CK's.
Yeah, another thing that you have done that I really like is bringing in local restaurants into the airport. Yeah, the whole retail mix that you brought in here. That's a great idea.
That's awesome. I mean, that was my board when I first got here asked me to really be aggressive about that, so we started right away and did it. I think a lot of people are surprised at the diversity of the kind of offerings we have in Tampa, and that was 4 years ago. Right now, there's so much going on in Tampa and St. Pete that I can't even tell you. We probably doubled or tripled the number of different restaurants that are coming into place. So we've just gone out to bid for all new concessions. So a lot of local concepts have come in to be part of the airport. They never knew how to do business at the airport before, but we've now reached out with a lot of outreach sessions, and they get it. And so you're going to see even more of that in the future. That's great.
All right. We're done with you?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, that's right. You got $1 billion to spend.
I got $1 billion to spend. I got to get busy. Thank you, guys.
All right. Stay with us. No, stay there, Joe. Don't move yet. He's right.
You
interrupting
scared him.
my
You
clothes.
ran him off.
What the heck's wrong with this guy? Yeah. All right. We're going to be right back. Jack and I will have a few closing comments, and we'll get a chance to say goodbye to our friend Mayor Kriseman and to our special guest Joe Lopano. Thanks so much. Let's get this thing going. We'll see you right in a couple minutes.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt. There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
All right, we're back with our final segment with Mayor Kriseman and Jack and I. It's like Mo, Larry, and Curly.
I'm going to be Mo.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right, we got to get serious now. We're mayors, all right?
Okay, yes, indeed.
Good show. A lot going on.
Oh, I know. This is exciting. I mean, it's exciting what's happened, that you all have brought the Bay Area together to be the 19th largest metro and the 12th largest media market, and the kind of market that can bring in Bollywood and 4 Super Bowls and the East-West Shrine Game and all of the great things that are happening in the Tampa Bay area.
The Bitcoin Bowl game.
Oh, yeah.
Grand Prix
coming up.
And the Grand Prix one more time.
Go to the Grand Prix. You're going to love it.
Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic. And just so many things happening here that we live way beyond, or we always exceed our expectations in what we do by far. per capita from any city in the country, New York, LA, Chicago, anybody like that. And the fact that you all, for the first time, have brought these two communities together where the strength is, where our strength is just overwhelming. And that's going to bode tremendously well for our future, which, like they say, is so bright you got to wear shades, with people like Vinnick and Jeff Vinnick and Bill Edwards, and the plans for the future here for both places.
It's pretty exciting. I know Rick and I love what we do, and I think the opportunity for us to do together what has never been done before is upon us.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm planning on being around for another 4 years. Rick has another 7 years to go, and I think out of that will come a very, very different Bay Area that is more competitive, that is more diverse, that is more united, and it obviously starts at the top.
And we're quite frankly, we're doing what state and federal government want to see, which is a regional approach.
Yeah.
You know, if
They want to see it, but they can't do it.
They can't do it. That's why they want to see it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get funding, you know, a lot of times you're not getting it if you're not working together. And so I think it puts us in such a better position than we've ever been in before.
And the fact, again, you've got two cities, the bifurcated market, and yet we're able to sustain the Buccaneers and the Lightning and the Rays and the Storm and
the
Rowdies, and that's a lot going on in St. Petersburg too. What's happening down there, and of course, again, that's that Bill Edwards influence, which makes such a big difference, and then the Jeff Vinnick influence here, Vinnick Bill.
Well, I think over the next decade, I think from St. Petersburg to Orlando, you will see one big megalopolis that will be entirely connected. You know, each retaining their own special qualities. Right. I mean, St. Pete is not Tampa, and Tampa's not St. Pete. We don't want to be like each other. We want to be, you know, separate and distinct, but working together. You know, and Lakeland's the same way on the north of us.
Absolutely.
You know, they are just as much our partners. So I think it's, you know, the future's really exciting, and I know Rick and I are excited about it.
Yeah, and maybe a little help from the legislature, because of the one little sticking point we've talked about is the transportation issue. Because I remember a survey a long time ago when people asked about moving here, what they look for most anytime they were going to move into a market, and it was first education and secondly transportation. And that's the one we've got to deal with, and we keep running into a problem with because of the conflict over the urban core and the not the suburban, but the country area, or the out in the county, so to speak. And that's something that's got to be resolved. As you all said earlier, we might be able to get the legislature to allow it to do it on our own.
Well, we're going to give it our best shot.
By the way, one other thing too, I know, I think Sandra Merman was talking about it, the possibility of ultimately running the trolley up there to hook up Channel Side with what's going to be happening there into downtown, and turn that into a modern day kind of trolley that would go all the way up downtown, maybe over to Ybor City and around in a circle or something like that, which would be a big move forward, I think.
We have a lot of options and very little money, but yeah. It's
always the challenge.
When it's available.
Yes.
All right. Mayor Kriseman, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here with you guys.
Jack, as always, I'll see you next month. Wherever you are in the Bay Area, whether it's downtown St. Pete or downtown Tampa, just remember that it is all about not you, but us. And together we will succeed. And I know from Mayor Kriseman and I, we're absolutely committed to doing it. And we will not let them divide us. And at the end of the day, this Bay Area is going to be something special. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Yep. We're about to depart. Please stand clear of the doors and hold handrails firmly at all times. We're approaching the main terminal at Airport Marriott Hotel. For baggage claim, ground transportation, and rental cars serving Air Canada, follow red symbols down the elevators or escalators to the red baggage claim area. For baggage claim, ground transportation, and rental cars serving Delta, follow blue symbols down the elevators or escalators to the blue baggage claim area.